Hello, crafty friends, and welcome back to my channel. I'm really excited to share another Christmas in July themed card project with you guys today. This one features a fun layering stencil from the brand new collection by Stacey in collaboration with Sizzix. There's a lot of color, texture, layers, and shimmer in this design. I have mixed in some of my favorite go-to products along with a few brand new goodies from this release. Before we jump in, I'd really appreciate if you could take a moment to subscribe to my channel and click on the notification bell icon so that you never miss a crafty update. For our card today, we are going to be working with a Wreath and Time layering stencil, which is part of this beautiful new collection by Stacey Park in collaboration with Sizzix. Now, this particular stencil sets includes four individual stencils, all thoughtfully designed to layer one over the other to build a stunning and intricate wreath design, just like the one you see showcased on the packaging there. Now, each stencil in the set comes with an etched marking that indicates the layer number, making it super easy to follow along and keep your design aligned as you build it up. At the top of each stencil, you will notice a set of alignment holes. These are specifically designed to work perfectly with the Sizzix stencil and stamp tool, which is what I'll be using today to help ensure everything stays perfectly in place while we work through the layers. Another lovely feature of the stencil is that all of these stencil includes a selection of gorgeous sentiment designs. You can use these to add a message directly onto your card panel or stencil them separately and turn them into sentiment strips or tags for added dimension and versatility. While these stencils are fabulous for traditional ink blending, don't feel limited to just use that technique. You can also bring in your texture paste, glitter gels, or even embossing paste to really elevate your holiday cards and add some shine and sparkle to your cards. For today's project, we'll be using the Stencil and Stamp tool by Sizzix, which is incredibly helpful when working with layering stencils like the one we are using today. This tool not only keeps your card panel securely in place, but it also makes use of the alignment markings on the stencil that we looked at earlier. Those etched guidelines up with the tool's platform, making positioning really intuitive. The base of the tool includes a sticky grid sheet that helps you hold the cardstock firmly as you work on it. The grid line also serves as a helpful visual aid, making alignment of each of those stencil layers smooth and precise. Included with the tool is a stencil adapter which is designed to hold the stencil securely during blending or paste application. This adapter can be moved horizontally or vertically, allowing you to adjust the position depending on your design needs. However, for this project, I decided to align the stencil directly onto the registration holes of the stamp platform itself. Then I place a large sheet of cardstock right in the center of the tool to begin stenciling. While the base does have light adhesive to help hold your panel, I wanted to be extra sure that nothing shifted while I worked through the layers. So just to be safe, I added a bit of washi tape along the edges to keep everything perfectly steady throughout the entire process. Now that my cardstock panel is firmly secured on the base of the stamp tool, we can jump right into the stenciling process. I began by taking stencil number one from the A Wreath Times set and aligned it using the registration holes that perfectly match the pegs on the base of the platform. Now, this alignment features make such a big difference. It really helps to keep the stencil from shifting during the inking process and ensures that all the four layers stack up beautifully for a clean look. Now, each of those stencil includes a sentiment section built right into the design. Since I wanted to focus only on the wreath design and save the sentiments for a separate element later, I took a few extra moments to mask off the sentiment areas using a combination of post-it notes and washi tape. This way, I could ink blend freely without worrying about accidentally picking up the ink where I didn't want it to. It's a small step, but it really helps maintain a clean, polished look on your finished card. With the stencil masked and in place, I started ink blending the first layer using my blending brush and some of my favorite green toned inks. Once I was happy with the coverage, I gently peeled away the first stencil, taking care not to smudge any of that freshly inked area. Next, I grabbed stencil number two and aligned it once again using the registration holes and repeated the masking process to block the sentiment section. For this layer, I chose to work again with a darker shade of green. This gave the foliage a rich layered appearance, almost as if it was hand painted. I also kept the packaging image nearby as a helpful reference, allowing me to closely mimic the original color inspiration and placement. Once layer number 2 was completed, I moved on to stencil number 3, which adds some of the little more detailed elements like the center of the leaves and the base layer of that large bow that sits in the center of our wreath. For the leaf centers, I used a darker shade of green to create contrast and detail. And to start building the bow, I bought in a deep, rich pink, which really stood out beautifully against that greenery and added a classic holiday pop of color. Finally, I placed stencil number 4, which is the last in the set. Now, this layer ties the whole design together by completing the bow with its top layer and adding a lovely sprinkling of berries throughout the wreath. I used a combination of cranberry and cherry red inks for the berries and added a slightly brighter pink to finish the bow. This final touch really brought everything to life and gave the wreath a festive, eye catching finish that feels perfectly suited for a holiday card. With all the stenciling done, and the result is a multi layered, vibrant, and dimensional wreath design that looks like it took hours to paint, but really came together thanks to this well defined stencil set and the ease of using that stencil platform. Once you're finished with stencil number 4, you'll really see the entire design come to life. The dimensional layers, the colors, and the fine details all come together so beautifully. At this point, you could absolutely trim down the panel to measure 4 by 5 and quarter and would easily be ready to mount on a standard A2 size card base for a clean and elegant look. But as you know, I like to take things up a notch, so I decided to add a little extra sparkle to this panel. After finishing the stenciling, I took the stencil and gave it a good wash to remove all that residual ink. I made sure it was completely dry before placing it back into the stencil platform to prep for the next step. Then I bought in one of my favorites, fairy dust sparkle paste. Using a pellet knife, I carefully spread a thin and even layer of this gorgeous paste on that open areas of the stencil. I made sure to cover all of the areas that I didn't want that stencil paste to get into. Now I have the large bows and the tiny berries scattered all around the wreath where I added this shimmer paste. I added the most beautiful subtle shimmer, perfect for holiday cards. Once I was happy with the coverage, I gently lifted the stencil straight up to avoid smudging of any of that glitter paste. Here's a tip: whenever you're working with glitter or texture paste, be sure to clean your stencil and palette knife immediately after use. Don't let the paste dry on them. It'll be much harder to clean later and could damage your tools. To finish up, I set the panel aside to dry completely. While a couple of hours is usually enough, I personally like to let it dry overnight just to make sure everything is fully set and nothing transfers or smears when assembling the final card. I trimmed down the finished panel to measure 4 by 5 and quarter inches, making it slightly smaller than a standard A2 size card base. This allows for a nice and clean border when mounted on the card base and helps frame the design beautifully. While the stencil set does include some lovely sentiment options, I wanted to go in a slightly different direction. I chose to gold heat emboss a delicate sentiment onto black cardstock, which reads, "To a special friend at Christmas." The sentiment is from the Holiday Bits and Bobs stamp set, which is again part of the latest release. I absolutely love the elegant font and it complements with the soft layered look of the wreath perfectly. Plus, the gold embossing ties in so well with all that sparkle on the bow and the berries, adding an extra festive touch. Once my sentiment was ready, I trimmed it into a sentiment strip and used foam tape to adhere it onto the card front for a bit of dimension. I then attached the entire panel on top of an A2 size card base, again using foam tape to give the finished piece some lift and presence. I truly love how this card came together. The layering, shimmers, and the soft color make it absolutely elegant as well as festive. And the best of all is that this design you can easily mass produce. making it perfect if you're planning to create a batch of handmade cards for the holiday season. And with everything in place, that finishes our card for today. I hope you enjoyed seeing how this beautiful layered wreath design came together using a wreath and time stencil set and few festive touches like ink blending, glitter paste, and gold heat embossing. It is such a fun and versatile design that you can easily personalize with different color palettes or sentiments and perfect for mass producing holiday cards without sacrificing the elegance and charm. Now, if you give this project a try, I'd love to see your creations. Don't forget to tag me on my Instagram. As well as, thank you so much for spending your time together. I had so much fun creating this project for you. All the supplies that I used here will be listed down in the description box below. Please know that all of those links are affiliate links, which means that if you shop using one of my links, I get a small commission at no cost to you guys. Thank you again for joining me today. Until next time, stay safe.